Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today, well, we're looking at something that is now quite old, has become quite rare and fairly collectible, or very collectible nowadays. We are looking at the 1996 release by Kenner from their Star Wars Power of the Force Deluxe Action figure sets. And these Deluxe Action figure sets are the ones that came with a deluxe assortment of accessories. And this particular one we're looking at today is of Luke Skywalker with Desert Sport Skiff. Now, these are all based on the original Star Wars trilogy. Now, it was announced back in 1996 that the original trilogy was being remastered and being returned to the original, to the cinema, prior to the new movies being produced. 96 saw the return of the three original movies to the cinema screens, or digitally remastered, and obviously that produced or spawned an awful lot of merchandise again, because there was a massive following for Star Wars, and an incredible amount of anticipation for the new trilogy, which was the prequel trilogy, which was started to be filmed. And that was obviously the episode 1, The Phantom Menace, episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And it was all based on how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. A little bit of trivia, in actual fact, of the 3 films that were produced, the original 3 films. The first one, Star Wars, and that aired in 1977. The Empire Strikes Back, that went to cinema in 1980. And finally, Return of the Jedi was in 1983. That's all the cinema release dates. The budget for all 3 movies come to $76.5 million, and the total box office money was $1.798 billion. So what a huge amount of money these particular movie series produced. But it was a space opera that was nothing we'd seen like it, and it was just, it was just awesome. Anyway, let's not digress too much. This is the figure in front of us. Now, this is on the European card, this particular one we're looking at today, and it says Star Wars, and that does say the Power of the Force, even though it's La Guerra de las Galaxias, La Guerra des Etoiles. I hope I pronounced that right. And at the bottom it says Deluxe Luke Skywalker with Desert Sport Skiff. And at the bottom right hand corner, I don't know if you can just about see that, is the Kenner logo. Okay, that's the front of the card. What I'm going to do now is turn the card around and let's have a look at what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I've turned the card around to the back, and this is what we got. So it says again at the top, Star Wars Power of the Force, ages 4 and above. And it's got Luke Skywalker with Desert Sport Skiff with blasting rocket launcher and rapid deploy wings. And there you can see an image of Luke with that standing on top of that Desert Sport Skiff. It says the same in 4 different languages there. And it says UK, snap handle onto skiff, slide wing guns into place, place figure on foot peg on skiff, put hands onto handles, lows rocket into front of skiff. Fold wings under skiff, left over right. Skiff with wings in the latched closed position, as you can see on this one here. And then at the top here it's got hold skiff in the air, press the rear release button to open wings, press wing button to launch rocket, press firing button to launch rocket. Let's just zoom in on that so you can have a look at the buttons there we're looking at there. So it says firing button and release button, shows you where they are on each. So the firing button's at the front and the release button's at the bottom there. Okay, so that's how the skiff, sport skiff works. Now just below that it shows you the figures in the same series. So let's have a zoom in on these figures and see what we got. So we've got Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, we've got Han Solo with Smuggler Flight Pack, Leia in Bosch disguise, Han Solo with Carbonite Block, you've got the Tusken Raider, and then of course you've got the vehicles. So you've got the X-Wing, the Snowspeeder, and the T-16 Skyhopper, which you can see on the right hand side here. And at the bottom you've got all the copyright and licensing information all the way down here. It's got 1996 Lucasfilms Limited, and on the right hand side is the CE markings, the 0 to 3 years, the Kenner logo, made in China, the assortment number, the item number, and the barcode of this particular figure. Okay, that's the card. Let's turn it back around to the front and let's have a look at the figure itself. Okay, so I've zoomed right in to the figure itself, and there you can see Luke Skywalker with his bulging biceps there, which is, yeah, a little bit different to what we would expect from seeing Luke Skywalker. But there we are. He is in his, well, it's really his farm dress that he wore in the first episode. What's the facial features like? Well, they're not great. They're not the best of likeness of Mark Hamill as he appeared as Luke Skywalker in the original movie series. It's not too bad. Obviously the colour of the eyes is right, probably the hairstyle's about right. The face is not overly bad, but it's you know it's Luke Skywalker because it tells you it's Luke Skywalker. But really, would you really know it was Luke Skywalker? Obviously, they've built his body up to be a lot bigger and beefier than what Mark Hamill actually was when he played Luke Skywalker. But he is dressed in that farm boy robe and his tights at the bottom there, and his boots. We just can't see his boots because of the labels just in front of him. But still, for the time, we're talking 1996, so we're talking nearly 30 years ago now, when these were produced, well 28 years to be precise. So technology obviously moved on a terrific amount in 28 years, so the new types of figures that are produced now, the likeness is incredible. But there we are, that's the way they were back in the 90s. Now, as you can see, I can't remove the figure from the packet because he is all still attached, but I do have my trusted Stormtrooper figure. Now, what I'd like to do is show you the articulation, because the articulation on these figures was pretty much all the same. I'm just going to dim the lights a little bit because I'm getting that flickering effect again, but there we are. So we've got the arms that move up and down, and all this is the same on Luke. The head that turns from side to side, as you can see. You've got the legs that go up and down at the bottom, and the waist that turns. But that is the full extent of the articulation, and these figures were all the same size. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 6 points of articulation on these figures, which was a little bit disappointing in comparison to what you get these days. Size wise, well, we're looking at just under 10 centimeters, which is just under 4 inches. Measure across, you're looking at about 4 centimeters again. Maybe Luke might be, yeah, it's the same, 4 centimeters. And depth again, you're looking at about 2 centimeters. So that is the size of the figures. Now let's have a look at the skiff itself, because this is something that you don't see very often. So that's the desert skiff, desert sports skiff, which basically is like a glider or a speeder. Let's just add a little bit of light in here, maybe we'll be able to see that a little bit better. Yeah, there we are. And there's the handle and the rocket and the guns on the side there. So a little bit of assembly involved in putting this together, but the nice thing about it is that missile at the front, this particular one here, loads into the front, and there's a firing button at the front there, and you can launch the missile when you are using Luke to attack the Imperial Stormtroopers or Imperial Guards or whatever. Okay, so that is the figure. So how well did these figures do back in the day, back in 1996? Well, 1996, we hadn't really had any major Star Wars merchandise since the Return of the Jedi, which was in 1983. So we were 13 years on, and there'd been very, very little merchandise produced for Star Wars. So when the announcement of the three original films being digitally remastered and returning to the big screen was a big thing, Kenner started to release all figures again, all based on the original figures, but then they were probably designed a little bit better, updated if you like, and for the time they were the state-of-the-art figures, 4-inch figures. And with certain ones, the deluxe series, they added a lot of accessories to it, as you can see with this particular set. So there was a big thing for figures, a big thing for Star Wars merchandise, and everybody that was into Star Wars, from seeing them originally on the big screen to now their children that they would take to the cinema to show them the original films again. I can remember doing that with my kids, taking them to the cinema when these films were back on the big screen. And then we had to wait a few years before we could get to the cinema to see the first of the new trilogy, The Phantom Menace. But 1996 started the release of all of the original trilogy action figures again. And they were all based on the original 1970s to 80s, 83 figures originally released by Kenner, but obviously updated to be better than the original ones. So yes, they done rather well, sold multiples and multiples and multiples of figures. And then, of course, when the Phantom Menace finally came out, and again, that spawned a colossal amount of merchandise. Again, action figures, toys, all sorts of different things. So Star Wars then became the biggest franchise in the world again, or the sci-fi franchise in the world again. And I believe it probably still is today. Okay, let's move forward to 2024. So we're talking... what are we talking? We're talking 26 years on, are we talking? 96, 106, 116, 126 years. So, yeah, 28 years on from when these were actually produced. Do they come up very often on the platforms? Well, the figures don't come up as often as they used to. You did used to see them flooded all over the platforms. But that doesn't happen anymore. You still see them on the platforms, don't get me wrong, in various different states of condition. So you see an awful lot of loose figures these days. The deluxe figures you don't see so many of, and I just wonder if that was because that most people bought the individual figures rather than buy the deluxe figures. So the deluxe ones just didn't... or the packs, if you like, just don't appear as often as the single figures. But most of the time you can pick all of these figures up on the platforms all loose. Finding them in this sealed mint condition, well, that's another story. They don't appear as often as they used to. In fact, they hardly ever appear now, these deluxe ones. And when they do, they sell very, very quickly on the platforms. But again, I always say it, be careful if you're ordering on the platform. Do make sure that you are ordering, or what you think you are ordering is what you are going to order. Because a lot of them use stock photographs, stock descriptions. And if you're just reading the homepage and there's no new available, it will sell. You will be ordering a used item. And that might be without the packaging, or it might be missing items, or it might just be a loose figure. So, just be a bit careful, and do make sure that you click on the used link to see what you're actually buying, or read the description of what you're actually probably going to buy. A lot of rigmarole, I know, a lot of mucking around, I know, but they're cool. You can avoid all that. Just come straight to us at Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles, where you'll be able to find this and many, many, many other vintage Star Wars items. And you can get to the website very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight there, where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I'm absolutely positive this is something that you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new items which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old you've never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful Kenner Deluxe Luke Skywalker action figure with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next video. So bye for now.